everybody, this is Mike Sandoval. We are here on MUSE TV, and we got a very special guest today, Lou Diamond Phillips from Prodigal Son on Fox. How's it going?
Great. Wonderful. As well as could be expected, in the middle of a pandemic. We're all doing what we can do. We've been hunkered down here in New York City. My wife and my 13-year-old daughter Indigo, not going out, getting a lot of family time, which is great, and doing creative stuff. But also very blessed that that we can actually film this season of Prodigal Son with all the protocol, regulations in place and being very careful. But everybody is very committed and everybody's very disciplined to make sure that that this happens. And so could not be more excited that we're still bringing what I consider to be a stellar season of Prodigal Son.
Yeah, and season 2 starts January 12th, and we're excited to see it because it's a really good show.
Yay! I'm glad you think so. I think so too.
It gives you a lot of twists and turns, or you're just like, you can't really tell where the story's going at some points.
Yeah, it's funny. For the first time in my career, I actually, my wife and I, Yvonne, we read the scripts out loud when I get them, and it's ridiculously entertaining because you never know where it's going to go, And even in the filming of it, Gil is not involved in everybody's storyline, so I get to be a fan as well. I get to watch, all the other actors work and see how that it lays out, and it's just very entertaining. It's as much fun to watch the show as it is to be a part of it.
Yeah, and let's talk about the last episode of last season to end that season. Gil, your character, Detective Gil Arroyo, he gets stabbed.
Yeah.
It's perfectly knowledgeable now, so we're not spoiling anything.
No, if you haven't caught up, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, it's a Luke, I am your father. It's like, I had 30 years, yeah, so at the end of last season, things were, a little on the edge there. Gil Arroyo got stabbed trying to protect Jessica Whitley, who is Malcolm's mother, and he's always had a thing for him. They, had this on again, off again spark between them. Fortunately, it was very funny because Sam Sclaver and Chris Fedak, our creators and head writers, had called me up to go, all right, listen, you're going to get stabbed, but we're not going to kill you, okay? Which is always a relief for an actor. It's like, oh my God, I love this gig, and you've just killed me. So Gil does recover. I don't think that's a huge spoiler, but it obviously leaves some questions. It leaves them smarting a little bit. And what's wonderful is it allows Aurora to take sort of almost the roles to shift. Her character is one of my detectives, and she turns around and goes, Gil, you made some mistakes. You let your heart, overrule your head, and so that actually becomes a little bit of a wrinkle, in this second season. And Gil and Jessica will be, exactly, sitting around popping popcorn and watching movies.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the one thing that I love about your character. He's strong. He's like he will tell you how it is. And I've seen 2 episodes from this season. And you guys really touch on a lot of issues that are going on as well within the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it's the show by nature is out there. I mean, it's twisted, it's dark, it's clever, but it does exist in the real world. It exists, in New York City, and I don't think you can make a television show that's at least somewhat based in reality and not deal with the issues that are going on this year. Not only the pandemic, but the systemic racism that is within many of the institutions in our country. And we can't solve these problems until we acknowledge them and face them head on and figure out how we feel about them and what we're going to do personally about them. Being anti-racist is a job for people every day. It is a lifelong commitment. And the fact that one of our characters gets embroiled in a situation where the rest of us have to step up too, I think is a really nice little nod to the real world, and then we bring some of the craziness as well.
Exactly. And this season you actually are going behind the director's chair. for
Yes.
is it just one episode or is it a couple episodes?
This season, it'll be one episode for me. I mean, we'll see. As long as I don't drop the ball, maybe I'll get to do it more. But yeah, that's something that I've been doing a bit more. Recently, I've had the wonderful opportunity to work on some very sort of iconic shows. Longmire that I was on, but also Fear the Walking Dead and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that have a very strong ensemble cast, but also a visual signature. And as a director, I love that, to create cinema on television, really. And it's a wonderful opportunity to work with, an absolute A-list stellar cast, but a top shelf, film crew as well, and to create what I like to consider some art. We had talked about it a lot throughout the first season, and I owe a great debt of gratitude to not only our creators and writers, but to the people at Fox and Warner Brothers who were giving me this opportunity. So it's really the icing on a delicious cake.
Yeah. Well, what do you like more now? Do you still enjoy the acting, or is the directing and possibly producing more of what is the evolution now? Lou
Yeah,
Diamond?
I like. I've said this before. I like the genre of employment. I like working. You
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
but I mean, no, seriously, man, it goes back to my college days. Where I wrote, I produced plays, I directed. In addition to acting, acting and writing are probably my first loves. But I mean, to me, they're branches of the same creative tree, and it all falls under the umbrella of being a storyteller, of being a communicator, and whatever tools kit you're using to tell that story sparks aspects of your brain that you don't always use. I will never fall out of love with acting. I adore acting, especially when the character is as rich and as layered, as like Lieutenant, Gil Arroyo, where I get to bring that heart, I get to bring that, gravitas, but also get to bring the funny every once in a while, which, it's such a well-rounded character that it never gets boring. But to be able to work with, like our cinematographer, Tony Wahlberg, or Adam Scher, our production designer, and go, let's try this, let's try that, and we've got an amazing hair and makeup unit. My particular episode is going to lean heavily on some special effects makeup and some real cleverness, so, and the writers, who are just devious, in their ingenuity. So it really sparks other talents that I have I like to go to that you don't always get to use when you're just acting. So I don't know, I'm just grateful and excited.
Yeah. Well, let's get back into that, the creativity and the writing part, which you mentioned. You released a book in October
Yes.
of this year, the Tinderbox Soldier of Indira.
Mhm.
What was it like to put out the book, and what has been the reception on it?
I mean, beyond my wildest imagination. And this has been a long time in coming. I mean, a lot of people, go, oh, Lou wrote a book and put her out. No, 10 years. It took 10 years, to write it, and mostly because my day job kept getting in the way. They kept asking me to act. So, to a certain extent, the pandemic, allowed me to focus, on the edits and the rewrites on some of the chapters of the book for a good 6 months before it came out. But I started this process a long time ago. It was sparked by a graphic novel idea that my wife Yvonne had, doing a graphic novel in the manga style inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's The Tinderbox.
Mhm.
And the plot of the novel, it very much follows that. But I extrapolated it and set it in space in a galaxy far, far away, and created this world where the fantasy element of it could really take over. And like I said, it's been a long time in coming, but the reception has been massive. I mean, the reviews were just wonderful. So many people on Twitter have talked about how much they've loved the book, and it's sold very well. I mean, ridiculously, it's been at the top of a couple of the Amazon categories for a while. And I should also mention that in the hardcover, there are 30 of Yvonne's illustrations that she wrote she drew specifically for the book. And the response has been so great that I'm actually working on a sequel. So I'm about 150 pages into the sequel of the novel. So it's fun.
Oh, and not what better time to write than during this time because you.
Yeah, except now, because we're filming, I keep a pad with me, in my man bag, and then take the computer and I'll jot stuff down. We'll work a little bit, over the lunch break and stuff like that. So, obviously, I don't like getting bored, so I stay busy.
Yeah. So you're still filming season 2, correct?
Yes, yes, indeed. We'll be going until the middle of April or something like that. It's slightly a shortened season, but once again, the writers did not use the pandemic as an excuse to not raise the bar. They've gotten more clever with how we shoot our exteriors and our interiors and whatnot, and how we operate in a socially distanced environment. But they have not shortchanged the plot twists or the drama or even the ingenuity of the crimes. In some ways, it's made them even more, I don't know, clever. The audience, the fan base that we have, which I'm so grateful for, right out of the gate to have such a response from so many, to be the number one premiere of last fall. They will not be disappointed.
Cool. And just to go over your body of work, because you've had an amazing career. I mean, my first exposure to you was in La Bamba back when I was a kid, and if I don't ask the question, my mom would come down from heaven and slap me and say, you had Lou Diamond Phillips, Richie Valens in front of you. You didn't ask him about it, so I have to ask. Like, it's gonna be 35 years in 2022.
Wow.
What does it feel like to that this film has been passed from generation to generation, and it still keeps growing, and it's like there's the love for it that.
You know what? I couldn't put it more succinctly than that. You're absolutely right. I mean, Netflix put it back into rotation, just last fall, and new people are discovering it all the time. I mean, because it's just such a wholesome film. It's a perennial, and it, even though it was made in the '80s, it doesn't have that sort of trendy '80s sheen about it. It's timeless. And what I love about it, and it's so bizarre that it's as relevant today as it was then, is that it's a film about the American dream. It's a film about inclusion and representation, and the fact that dream, the American dream of success, of rock and roll, of fame, of bettering things for yourself and for your family. It was true in the '50s. It's true today. It's true of all of our young people from any walk of life, who are either born here or who came here, that, with hard work and with talent, it is possible, to succeed. And that message, is fresh continuously. And I'm proud. I'm proud that, that young people are discovering it, that so many young people can see themselves up on the screen, and that they feel, represented, that they feel acknowledged.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've heard. Like, I've talked to Issei Morales about it, and there's such a fondness for this film that it has transcended years after years after years, and it's just
It's
really cool.
crazy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and so that's why, never mind when people go, Reggie, from across the street. It's like, thank you, thanks, appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Well, that's what I teased the whole interview because I didn't want to say who I was talking to. Put my
Yeah,
little image, and younger people didn't get it,
yeah,
but people my age did get it, and they were just like, "Wow, it's so cool. You get to talk that I get to talk to you about
thanks, man.
not only this Fox show, but also everything and all the body of work that you've done." Because for me, I like when you did Stand and Deliver. It was the first time I ever seen. I grew up in East LA.
Yeah,
So to see East LA represented on screen was something that was one of the first times that I've seen anything like that with Garfield High School. And somebody who went to my elementary school is now the principal of Garfield High School.
oh, that's cool.
So it's really cool to see that come full circle when you see it on film. And you've always done some amazing work. What do you keep up with that? How do you keep the drive going, and how do you keep that energy going, so after you don't lose it in any project that you do?
Yeah, you have to love it. I mean, there are so many people. I mean, it's it, first of all, it's a very hard industry. There's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of pain. There's disappointment. And I tell young actors, I mean, this is true of writers too, and directors and whatnot. It's like, if you don't love this, man, don't do it. Don't do it, because it comes with a heavy price, and it ain't all limos and sunglasses. You're gonna be dealing with rejection. You're gonna be dealing with not getting what you want, or pouring your heart into something and having it dismissed. uh, you know um, there are certain films of mine that I wish had been seen more. The 33 is a beautiful film, like, about the Chilean miners.
Mhm.
One of the most incredible casts I've ever been involved with. And it should have been bigger. Um, Not through any fault of anybody that made the film. It's timing, it's publicity, it's marketing, it's all those things that are out of your hands. But every time I say yes to a project, I'm bringing all of me to it. I'm not just getting a paycheck. I'm not, I don't care what it is. And that's just it. If you love it, then you will be kind to it, and you will give it the work and the respect that it deserves. Um, you know, uh, I've never phoned in a performance, and I've never said yes to anything without going, I'm in. I'm in all the way. Whether you're paying me scale, or whether you're paying me a lot of money, or whether it's going to be a little independent film that very few people are going to see outside of a film festival, or it's one of the big ones. I mean, I approach it with the same passion, with the same amount of love, and I think you have to have that attitude, when you start in this business. Uh, but that's, I mean, a lot of the actors of my generation, we wanted a career. We wanted to have a body of work, as you said, and to get a body of work takes time. Some of the people that I looked up to and that I've worked with, like Ernie Borgnine, made like 300 films. I love that man, and his enthusiasm never waned. And so it's about not only being a professional, but being someone constantly in love with the art, with the craft of storytelling and of acting. And if you have that, then those times in between when it's a little tougher, or when you don't get what you want, or that it does, then it's not about the fame, it's not about the money, it's not about the recognition. It's about the pure love of getting to act and getting paid to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that because I think with whatever you do,
Yeah,
you got to put that same intensity into any job in order if you want to successful doesn't always mean monetary success. It could be from anything and what you do in the
yeah.
community and what you do in your life. And I agree with you on that one. Let's get back into the show. We have it coming out January 12th. What can you tell the Muse fans in order to get them to watch Fox's Prodigal Son? Because for me, when I saw it at TCA I believe it was last summer when it was pitched, I knew it was going to be a hit right off the bat. And pretty much it's been like that since you've had, I believe it was on my notes, it was 8.9 million viewers across a bunch of different platforms. I mean, it shows people love the show. What can you get them to watch if they haven't seen it yet for season 2?
Well, there's nothing else like it on TV. It is a procedural like you have not seen, and it's fun, and it's entertaining, and it's dark, and it's shocking. And if you watch a couple episodes, you're going to be hooked. That's all I got to say. What's wonderful is in this day and age, you can binge the entire first season. You can check it out, and I feel very confident that once people start watching, they'll just start eating it up. And I know that there are people out there. God bless you, man. Thank you. That have watched the show 3, 4, 5 times. From start to finish of the entire first season. So you're going to be getting more of the same this season. Man, nothing succeeds like success. And that, some of the guest stars that we got coming on are stellar people, who have carried their own shows, and who are stars in their own right, are coming on to our show and bringing their A games. So it's exciting, man. Every new episode is like a gift. It really is.
Yeah. Well, hey, Lou, thank you so much for being a part of Muse TV. It's great to have you on, and to especially somebody who I looked up to since I was a kid. To
Mhm.
have you on Muse TV, I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this new season. I'm looking for everybody to see it. So thank you so much for being a part of it. We look forward to that once everything opens up. Hopefully, we get to talk in person
That would be
and
great.
talk more about the show and what we'll be talking about. Because I'm sure, I'm putting it down now, there will be a season 3. So
Cool. Your mouth to God's ears. I'm pretty good about it.
Well,